April 2nd, Richard Bergeron, leader of Projet Montreal, visited Concordia. He gave a conference on the economy of public transit, and the focus of his presentation was the reintroduction of the tramway in the city of Montreal, which is one of the Paris' main projects if elected. Here's an extract.
What was city? What were cities in history? City is the place where human beings choose to live together, to have contact with each other. This is the reason why cities were created, to make people, to make it easier to have contact with other people. Because we consider that it will be profitable for all of us. We don't have to be shy. We have to say clearly we want to take the street. The street is not owned by the car. Street were created for people, and we have to take any opportunity to give it back to people. You know, the signature of a metro in the city is very small. It's only these entrances outside of the street, here and there, and you see only the sign. The signature of the tram of the city is very strong because it is all the street, all along the street. You design the kind of tram you want, and when you bring back a technology that you had forgotten for many decades in a kind of shame of that time, it has to be a very strong statement. Why is this $40 million per kilometer? Because the infrastructure is very expensive. You have to dig the street, to take out all the pipes, all the wires that will be otherwise under the tracks. You have to be sure that nothing is under the tracks. That means that it's a huge works, and this is 60% of the final bill. The tram themselves, the electrification, the garage, all these things are almost cheap compared to what you have to do under the ground. What is the model? Does it have to be public? What could be the role of the private sector? Make your choice. You can find tram built by the private sector and operated by the public. You can find exactly the opposite, and you can find any mix you can imagine. And to prove it, Grenoble, Toulouse, Strasbourg, Lyon, Paris, the five, all the possibilities were used by these five cities. You know, it can go up to a concession, what we call in French a concession, I don't know how to say that in English. You give the responsibility to the private sector for the next 30 years. Just build it and operate it, and it will come back to the city after 30 years. This was done, for instance, in the second city of Portugal, Porto. And what could it be in Montreal? What is the target? The target is to have 1 billion passengers of transit as soon as possible. I wrote 2025. I don't know if it's possible. And if we had that, that will mean only 230 trips per inhabitant per year. I don't know any city in Europe with less than 300 trips per inhabitant per year. And the cities where the transit is used at the highest level is Stockholm with almost 400 trips per year per inhabitant. Thus, all the great cities in Europe are between 300 and 400 trips per inhabitant. If we had 1 billion trips here in Montreal, that will be only 230. We still will be far from Europe. But this is a huge objective. To get that, you need to have 325 million people using the metro. Last year it was 250 million. Because you have to add 75 million passengers in the metro. Good luck, 75 millions more. When I speak in favor of the tram, do I speak against the bus? No, because bus had more or less 400 million passengers last year. You will have to reach 550 million passengers. Train banlieue, suburb train, from 18 million to 75 million. And having done all that, there's still 350 million of capacity missing. If you want to reach 1 billion, and if you add these numbers, it will give more than 1 billion. But as you know, we can take the bus on the same trip and use the metro or the opposite, and that's why to reach 1 billion passenger per year, after having done everything, anything that is possible with the metro, with the bus, with the suburb train, you will still miss a capacity of 350 million passengers. That could be the tramway. More or less the equivalent of the metro, and far from what would be the bus at that time. This is the objective. In our approach, a boulevard has to be a boulevard, with the tram in the middle, with bus lanes on each side, with exactly the same capacity for traffic that it has right now. 2 lanes per direction. But with the capacity for people multiplied by 3, by 4, by 5. In fact, you don't see the tracks, the rail tracks anymore. They are under the new boulevard. In fact, we take the Bergeron where it is right now, and we rebuild it on the tracks, over the tracks. And all the space that was expropriated to build the highway becomes the space we use to build a neighborhood. The backbone of the project will be a tram line. The same track line that was extended from René-Lévesque to the west up to La Chine. On the other side, it will be extended through this part of the city up to Pointe-aux-Trembles. That means that the final line would start at Pointe-aux-Trembles up to La Chine, and probably, if we want, up to the airport, a 35 kilometers long line. The core section, the section in René-Lévesque, in downtown, will be expensive. All the rest will be cheap. In fact, here, the investment by the public is more or less the same that it will be with the construction of an highway. The final price that was made public for the highway project was $1.5 billion. $1,500 million. The investment of the public sector in this project with the tram up to Pointe-aux-Trembles will be more or less $2 billion. This promenade will be 30 meters wide along this new neighborhood, and after that it will be narrow, it will be only a few meters wide up to Old Montreal. That's what we can do here in Montreal, using transit, using more specifically the comeback of the return of the tram, to propose a new way to develop our city and to develop Montreal instead of developing Saint-Julie, Saint-Constant, Mascouche, Terrebonne, Repentigny, Boisbriand, 80 of them, 80 of them. So far in the last 50 years, the government of Quebec said that the future of Quebec, the future of Montreal is at Saint-Julie, is at Saint-Jean, is at Saint-Constant, all these people in the sky. No, the future of Montreal is here on the island of Montreal, and we have to use transit. As more specifically, we have to use the new tram to help us to develop Montreal. And this is what we will propose to Montrealers in the next election. Thank you. I'm not sure that you understand everything with my very bad English, but
I think it was pretty good, actually.
I am Paula from CUTV. Thanks for watching.